There's a truth no one told you when you were young. And today, with all the years you already carry, I want to be the one to tell it to you. Growing old is not the problem. Growing old is a privilege denied to many. The real problem isn't the years that settle into the body, but the mistakes that pile up in silence when a person stops paying attention to their own life. Allow me to introduce myself. They call me Monk Tao Li. I am 77 years old, and I have spent more than 40 of them practicing and teaching how to care for two things the modern world has learned to separate, but which should never have been separated: the health of the body and the peace of the mind. In all these years, I have never set foot in a hospital, not because I hold some miraculous secret, but because I learned slowly not to make the mistakes I want to share with you today. Because that's the good thing about a mistake. If the problem is something we do, then the solution is also in our own hands. Today, we're going to walk together through the 11 most serious mistakes a person can make in the last and wisest stage of life. And stay until the end, because mistake number 11, the one I've saved for last, is the most important of them all. It is the root of the other 10, and it is, almost always, the one most people make without realizing it until it's already too late. Before we begin, let me tell you something, because it has to do with you. Throughout all these years, there was something that kept repeating itself. The people who came to see me, and later the ones who wrote to me, always told me the same thing. Master, everything you say makes sense, but by the time I get home, I've forgotten half of it. Wouldn't you happen to have all of this gathered somewhere? They asked me so many times, year after year, that in the end I sat down and gathered 40 years of practice into a single guide. The Tao Li Method, simple and orderly. The habits that truly care for the body after 60, and the ones that give the mind back its peace. Gentle movement, rest, calm eating, the way to let go of the thoughts that weigh on you, the small routines that hold up your independence and your calm. Body and mind, together, as they were always meant to go. And I'll be honest with you, the way a friend would. You don't need to buy anything to understand today's video. Everything I'm going to tell you is here, for you, free. But if afterward you'd like to have it all gathered in one place, so you don't forget half of it by the time you get home, that guide is yours for free at the link in the description and in the comment I've pinned right at the top. Take a calm look at it. And now, let's sit down together and walk through these 11 mistakes. The first mistake is the quietest, because it doesn't hurt the day you make it. It hurts 10 years later. It's neglecting the body, abandoning it, treating it like an old house that no longer deserves any care. Think of it this way. If you had a horse that had to carry you for the rest of your road, you wouldn't leave it unfed, locked up, until its legs went stiff. You'd take it out to walk every day. You'd look after it, because you know your journey depends on it. Your body is that horse. It's the only one you have, and it's the one that must carry you to the end. In my years of practice, I learned that this isn't about feats or gyms. It's about movement, every day. Walking, stretching when you get up, standing up from the chair without using your hands a few times over, balancing on one leg, holding onto a chair so you don't lose your steadiness. Small things, repeated with patience, that hold up the most valuable thing you have, your independence. Because the day the body gives up, others begin to decide for you where you live and what time you go to bed. Keep the body, and you'll keep the keys to your own life. It's not vanity, it's freedom. That said, any change in your activity is worth discussing first with your doctor, who knows your history better than anyone. But don't use caution as an excuse for stillness, because stillness, in the long run, does more harm than gentle, steady effort. The second mistake is the brother of the first, but even more invisible, because a mind that's going dark can't be seen from the outside. You can have a well-kept body and a clean house, and inside be letting the lights go out one by one. The mind, like the body, needs to be used. Reading, even when it's hard, learning the names of the plants on the balcony, playing cards with real attention, trying to remember before rushing to check your phone. Every time you ask something of your mind, you're telling it, I still need you, don't fall asleep. In the East, we say the mind is like a pond. If the water sits still and no one stirs it, it turns murky and breeds weeds. If it flows, it stays clear. Stirring the mind every day with curiosity, with gratitude, with a small challenge, that's what keeps it clean. An older person who waters their mind every day grows old in a completely different way from one who simply sits down to wait. And there's something more. The mind and the spirits go hand in hand. Prolonged sadness, that fog that won't lift, is not simply a thing of age. It's a sign that your inner world needs attention. If that fog stays too long, talking to a professional is not weakness. It's the same wisdom that would take you to a doctor for a pain that won't stop. Don't torment yourself over what you can't control, but take charge with all your strength of what is in your hands, and your mind almost always is in your hands. We come now to the mistake that causes the most suffering in old age. Wearing yourself out fighting against what cannot be changed. The years bring losses. The body changes. Friends change. The world you once knew changes. And some people spend their final years furious against all of it, against time, against the technology they don't understand, against children who live differently, against a body that no longer responds the way it used to. That fight is never won. It's like rowing against a current that never tires, and while you row against it, life passes right by your side without you ever enjoying it. Here is the heart of all serene wisdom, the first lesson and the most important. There are things that depend on us and things that don't. Our attitude depends on us, our decisions, how we respond. The weather does not depend on us, nor other people's opinions, nor the passing of time. The wise person pours all their energy into the first and calmly lets go of the second. This isn't resignation. It's the opposite. It's gathering up all the strength you were wasting against walls that won't move and using it on the doors you actually can open. You can't control that your legs are 70 years old, but you can control whether you use them today. You can't control that a friend is gone, but you can control whether you call another. You can't control what people will say, but you can control whether you listen to them. Learn to tell one from the other, and you'll have learned to live in peace at any age. The fourth mistake is made little by little, in silence, letting loneliness settle in, as if it were the natural state of old age. It is not. Loneliness arrives the way night arrives, a little more darkness each day. First, you stop calling that friend because we'll talk another time. Then, you stop going out because what's the point? And one fine day, you realize you've gone a whole week without offering your voice to another human being. And this isn't just sadness. The most serious research on aging, some of it followed for decades, all points in the same direction. Good bonds are one of the factors that best predict health and happiness in the final years. The well-known Harvard University study on adult development, which has followed the same people for more than 80 years, reached a conclusion worth more than any piece of advice. What keeps people healthiest and happiest at the end of the road isn't money or fame, but good relationships. In my tradition, we say that a human being doesn't bloom alone, just as a single tree doesn't make a forest. That's why this mistake has a solution that's in your hands this very day. Think of someone you lost touch with and call them. Sign up for something where there are people and a fixed schedule. And set yourself a simple rule, the golden rule of anyone who wants to age well. Talk to a human being every day, even if it's only 5 minutes. Because for you it's 5 minutes, but for another person who lives alone, that call may be the only voice they hear all day. If the fourth mistake was letting good bonds die, the fifth is the opposite and just as harmful, clinging to the ones that do you harm. Some people confuse loyalty with eternal sacrifice, and so they put up, year after year, with someone who criticizes everything they do, who drains their energy, who treats them with contempt dressed up as habit. Keeping a relationship that poisons you is like walking with a stone in your shoe and thinking the problem is your feet. It's not your feet, it's the stone, and the stone can be taken out. In old age, this is delicate because sometimes those relationships are with people who are very close to us. No one is asking you to cut everything off overnight, but here you have a precious tool. You don't control how the other person treats you, but you do control how much power you give them over your peace. You can set limits. You can say no without apologizing. You can decide whom you let into the important rooms of your life and whom you leave waiting out in the hallway. Other people's behavior belongs to them, not to you. You can't stop someone from being unpleasant, but you can keep from becoming their prisoner. Learning to say no in old age is not becoming selfish. It's recognizing at last that your peace has worth and that the time you have left is far too precious to spend justifying anyone's mistreatment. Surround yourself with those who add to you, not those who take away. The sixth mistake is an invisible chain that many people drag along their whole lives without knowing they're wearing it. The fear of other people's opinions. It's a curious thing. We spend our youth worried about what others will think of us, our middle years worried about the very same thing, and we reach old age still asking for permission. What if I sign up for dance classes and they laugh? What if I take up painting again and they say I'm too old? Let me tell you something with the freedom the years bring. Other people's opinions are not a court you must answer to. They're noise, and almost always, the people whose judgment you fear so much are too busy worrying about what others think of them to spend even half the time on you that you spend on them in your head. You're asking permission from a jury that isn't even looking at you. There's an enormous freedom waiting for you on the other side of this mistake. The day you stop asking permission to live, your real life begins. If you want to learn, learn. If you want to paint that wall turquoise, paint it. If you want to take that trip, take it. There comes a moment when the only approval you need is your own, and that moment is now. Let me interrupt for just a second. If what you're hearing is stirring something inside you, hit like and leave the words, "I love wisdom" in the comments, so I know you've made it this far with me. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Sometimes a single reflection arrives at exactly the right moment. Let's go on. The seventh mistake takes us to the hardest place of all, our own memory. It's living a prisoner of the past, chewing over the regrets again and again. What was done wrong, what was left undone, the words said and the words swallowed. In old age, the past is long and heavy. There's plenty of material for remorse if a person decides to live there, and some turn their final years into a courtroom where they put themselves on trial every night for sentences handed down 40 years ago. Living that way is like driving while looking only in the rearview mirror. No wonder you keep crashing into the present again and again. The past no longer exists. It's not in your power. You can't change a single gesture of what happened, so torturing yourself over it is spending the only coin you truly have, this moment, to buy something that isn't even for sale. Making peace with your story doesn't mean forgetting it or pretending there were no mistakes. It means understanding that the person who made them was doing what they could with what they knew back then. It means forgiving yourself with the same compassion you would offer an old friend. Guilt that teaches nothing and only causes harm is not a virtue. It's poison. The only healthy thing you can do with the past is take the lesson and set down the weight. Your story is the ground you walk on, not the chain that ties you to the spot. And every morning you wake up is quite literally a blank page that the past has no right to stain. The eighth mistake seems the humblest, almost domestic, and yet it holds up nearly all the others, not caring for sleep. With the years, many people give in to bad nights as if they were inevitable. I don't sleep like I used to, they say, and they resign themselves to tossing and turning, to late-night television, to the 3-hour nap that later steals the night's sleep. And little by little, a tiredness sets in that tints everything gray. The mood, the memory, the patience. Because sleep is not lost time. It's when the body repairs itself and the mind sorts through what it lived. The one who doesn't rest isn't saving time. They're stealing it from their own clarity. And the solution isn't any magic potion, but order, that old ally. Go to bed and get up at roughly the same time, on weekends too, because the older body loves routine. Step out in the morning and let the daylight reach you, for it's daylight that sets the clock in your brain. Watch the afternoon caffeine, which at this age lingers many more hours in the body. And let the last hours of the day be gentle. No screens shouting at you, but reading instead, calm breathing, gratitude for the day that's ending. End the day in peace, and the next day will greet you as an ally and not an enemy. If you snore a lot or always wake up exhausted, mention it to your doctor, because sometimes there are causes that can be treated. But don't resign yourself to poor rest. Honor the night, and the night will care for your days. The ninth mistake is insisting that everything stay exactly as it always was. There's a kind of pride that, with the years, disguises itself as firmness. I've always done it this way. I don't need any help. I manage just fine on my own. And beneath those phrases very often hides a fear, the fear of admitting that things have changed. Resisting that change is like refusing to take in the sails when the storm comes. It isn't courage, it's inviting the shipwreck. Adapting is not surrendering. It's the opposite. It's the intelligence of someone who wants to last. Putting a grab bar in the bathroom, taking away the rugs you trip over, improving the hallway light, accepting a hand when a task has become difficult. None of that makes you any less of a person. It makes you wiser. Someone who understood that the surroundings should serve life and not life break itself against surroundings that no longer fit. In the East, we say the bamboo survives the storm not by being the most rigid, but by knowing how to bend. The oak that won't yield snaps. The bamboo that leans rises again once the wind has passed. The older people who age best are not the ones who stayed frozen in some past era, but the ones who kept learning to move within the new one. Accepting the change you need is not losing independence. It's the way to keep it for many more years. The 10th mistake is believing this stage of life is only an epilogue, a time of waiting, and not what it truly is, a new chapter, perhaps the freest of all. It's saying that old line, I'm too old to learn anything new, and closing the door on everything that could still flourish. What a great mistake it is, and how easy to correct. The end of the great obligations is not the end of growth. It's the beginning of the freedom to grow in whatever you choose. That passion you put off during the working years, the instrument you never played, the language, the garden, the painting, your family's history is still there, waiting for you, and now, at last, you have the time. The mind, as we said at the start, is a muscle, and every new thing you learn builds it a new bridge. But beyond health, there's something even more important. Learning gives you purpose. And purpose, as we'll see in just a moment, is almost the only thing that keeps a human being on their feet. They tell of a wise old man who, already very old, was asked why he kept studying if he had so little road left. He answered, "To die knowing a little more." That's the attitude. It's not about what it'll be good for. To learn is, in itself, to be alive. So the next time that voice assails you saying, "It's too late for me," remind it, with all the serenity in the world, that the soul has no expiration date for wonder. And so we come to the last mistake, the one I promised you at the beginning, the most important of all, because it's the secret root of nearly all the others. Mistake number 11 is living as if you had all the time in the world. It's postponing life. It sounds strange to say it to someone who already has years behind them, who knows full well that time isn't in surplus. But listen closely, because here lies the most subtle trap of existence. It's one thing to know with your head that life has an end, and quite another to truly live with that end present. Most people live as if the farewell were always something that will happen later on, some distant day. And meanwhile, they keep putting things off. The reconciliation that never comes, the call that's never made, the "I love you" that's never said, the dream tucked away for when the time is right. And the time, without warning, stops coming. In my tradition, we look at this head on, without fear, not to sadden ourselves, but for the very opposite reason. Remembering that time runs out doesn't darken life. It lights it up. It gives life back its flavor. The one who knows this sunset won't come again truly looks at it. The one who knows they won't see infinite springs embraces more fiercely the one in front of them. The awareness of our limit is not the enemy of joy. It's its best friend, because it gives weight to every moment we still have left. That's why this is the mistake that holds up all the others. The one who lives aware of their time cares for their body because it's the vehicle of the days they have left. They care for their mind, let go of grudges, forgive, call the ones they love, say what needs to be said, learn what excites them, and stop asking the world for permission. They make their peace. They live light because they understand at last that every day is a gift and not a bill to be paid. Don't wait for a scare to start living. Don't save up love or forgiveness or dreams for a tomorrow no one has promised you. If there's a conversation pending, have it this week. If there's someone you love, tell them today. Life is far too valuable to live it with the handbrake on. We've walked through 11 mistakes, but if you look closely, they all spring from the same place and they all heal with the same medicine. Living awake, caring for the body and the mind, letting go of what you can't control, holding up the good bonds and setting limits on the bad ones, ceasing to fear other people's opinions, making peace with your past, honoring rest, bending like the bamboo, never ceasing to learn, and above all, remembering that your time is precious precisely because it isn't infinite. I haven't come to teach you to fear old age, but to live it well, which is a very different thing. This last stage, lived with awareness, can be the most serene, the freest, and the wisest of them all. And never, listen to me well, never is it too late to correct a mistake and live better the time that remains. So now, I'd like to ask you, and read me truly, because I read every single comment of these 11 mistakes, which one touched you most closely? Which one are you going to start correcting this very week? Tell me down below. Your story might be exactly what another person needed to read today. If this reflection has given you something, write a full life in the comments so I know who made it all the way to the end. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. And remember what I told you at the beginning. If you want to have all of this gathered in one place, body and mind together, so you don't forget half of it by the time you get home, you have my complete guide at the link in the description and in the pinned comment at monktao.com. I'm not asking you to do all 11 things today. Choose just one, the one that touched you most, and give it a week. Just one. That's all it takes to begin. I'll leave you here 2 more videos so you can keep nourishing both body and mind. Take care of yourself, take care of the ones you love, and I'll see you in the next reflection. A hug from the calm.